And now for a Saudi view, joining us from Jeddah is Khaled Batarfi. He is a journalist and general manager with the Arab media. He's also an assistant professor at the Prince Sultan College for Tourism and Business. Khaled, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Saudi Arabia has launched attacks against Houthi rebels in Yemen. Why is Yemen so important to Saudi Arabia? And exactly what does Saudi Arabia hope to achieve with these attacks?
Well, Yemen is as important as Cuba was to the United States when the Soviet Union installed missiles in the 60s, and Kennedy was going to risk a third world war for this issue. It's the backyard of Saudi Arabia, and Iran is installing Scud missiles in there and giving it to militias who has no idea about politics or pragmatism, who were before this war saying that they will not stop until they control Mecca and Medina, and they were attacking and they were having maneuvers at the borders and saying clearly that they will hit on Saudi Arabia if they don't submit to their demands, which is mainly money. So we are talking about a militia who had a coup against the legitimate government, and they were threatening not just Saudi Arabia, but the whole Gulf region. And you can say the trade, the international trade, because Yemen also is on al-Mandab Strait, which is the door gate to the Red Sea.
Looking more broadly at the situation in the region, is Saudi Arabia's involvement in Yemen an indication that it is going to play a bigger, more assertive role militarily in the Middle East?
Not necessarily militarily, but at least it will be more assertive politically. And I believe that the assertiveness program is not, it's a program, it's not just a military operation, and it's gonna affect other parts of the Middle East, Syria in particular.
Saudi Arabia has long relied on U.S. aid, military assistance, but now that America has worked out this deal with Iran, this nuclear deal, will Saudi Arabia be more independent in its dealings with neighboring countries in the future, less reliant on the United States?
More independent, yes, but less reliant also is. But we are still partners, we're still allies with the United States, and the recent visit of King Salman to the United States is one proof and one message also to Tehran that our relations is strong enough so they shouldn't think of any window they could go through to continue what they are doing in starting wars and terrorism in the Middle East.
There are analysts who say that what concerns Saudi Arabia most is that sanctions against Iran will be lifted at some point after this deal is implemented. It's starting to be implemented pretty soon, and that much of Saudi policy in the region is driven by rivalry against Iran. What do you make of that?
That's true. I mean, we are talking about 100 to 150 billion dollars that will be released. They were frozen before, and they will be given to Iran. And Iran is already, even under the pressure, the economic pressure, we're supporting their gangs in the Middle East, Hezbollah, Ansarullah, Asa'ib al-Haq in Iraq, and others in the region, and supporting also the Bashar regime and other groups in Iraq. So if they were doing this while they were under pressure, so imagine what they could do when they get all this money. We are still hoping that the new government will look inside and try to use this money to make better development and to respond to the needs of the Iranian people, and instead of continuing their exportation of revolution to the rest of the region.
But looking at the relationship with Saudi Arabia, is this relationship going to continue to be one of antagonism, or can these two countries find areas of common ground with which they can work?
It depends on who wins in Iran. Now we hear two voices. One voice is very conservative and very aggressive, and we have seen evidence of that in Kuwait. They were found many cells of Hezbollah, with a lot of armaments and explosions, ready to, with plans to blow up many institutions in Kuwait. Again, the same in Bahrain, the same in Saudi Arabia. So if they are if this branch of the nation or the government would win, then we will continue to have this problem. But if the other branch, we are hoping that those are the moderate, those are the ones who initiated this negotiation with the West and won this agreement, then we hope a different view of the world, a different approach to the region would finally prevail, and we will be able to have good relationship with our sister country, Iran, which we very much need in this region to stabilize the region and for all of our peoples to win by having bridges of economic cooperation, cultural cooperation, scientific cooperation, and all kind of cooperation.
Saudi Arabia has been accused of contributing to the chaos in the Middle East. In a recent column that he wrote, Tom Friedman, the New York Times columnist, wrote that it's not an accident that several thousand Saudis have joined Islamic State fighters. He wrote, and I'm quoting here, "It is because all these Sunni jihadist groups, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, the Nusra Front, are the ideological offspring of the Wahhabism injected by Saudi Arabia into mosques and madrasas from Morocco to Pakistan to Indonesia." What is your reaction to that very pointed criticism? Is Saudi Arabia partly responsible for the rise of radicalism in that region?
Thomas Friedman used to be my friend, but he is an Israeli mouth, and anything he says is just what the Israeli government is saying. If we are to look into Daesh members, we will find more Tunisians than Saudis. And Tunisia have been for a long time a liberal country, and before that it was colonized by the French. We will find also Americans, French, Europeans, Australians, and Russians. So this is not an organization that is representing one country or one thought. It's an international organization that is now being attractive to a lot of young people from all over the world.
Okay, Khaled, very quickly. There's been a lot of criticism over the Iran deal, the nuclear deal. Does Saudi Arabia have any nuclear ambitions? Does it want a nuclear weapon?
If Iranians would get a nuclear bomb, then not just Saudi Arabia, I believe, all the regional powers will seek to have the same power. But if the West and 5+1 succeeded in making Iran choose to build a peaceful reaction, nuclear reactions, then that's what will happen also in Saudi Arabia and the Gulf. Saudi Arabia now have agreement with Russia and France, also the United Arab Emirates, to have power creating nuclear sites in these countries.
Okay, so we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks for joining us, Khaled.